Hi there. I'm Judith Patterson. I'm an independent demonstrator with Stampin' Up! Here in Texas. I created a couple of cards for my blog on Monday that I really enjoyed making. And there's one more that I want to make using different inks and paper, but I wanted to show you how the process is done. I'm going to be using my Stamparatus on this one. Hang on just a second. I'm going to turn the camera around and we'll get started creating. Thanks. Okay, so to start with, I have my standard card base, which in the US is 8.5 inches by 5.5 inches and scored at 4.25 inches. I also have a piece of patterned cardstock. This is from Pattern Party 12 by 12 Designer Series paper. This one measures 4 inches by 5.25 inches. I have a piece of Flirty Flamingo. This one is 3 inches by 4.75 inches. And then the last piece of cardstock I'm going to be using on the front of the card is 2.75 inches by 4.5 inches. And this is actually what I'm going to be stamping on today. Okay, so I'm going to be using this Thank You from the Happy Birthday, or from the Sweet Ice Cream stamp set. And I'm going to be using my Stamparatus. I do have the foam pad in here because I'm going to be using a photopolymer stamp. My magnets are wrapped with washi tape. This is just to give me something to grab hold of so I can pull them off easier. And it's also because when I first got my Stamparatus, I wasn't paying attention and I let my magnets come too close together and they snapped together real quick. When they did, these two broke. It was very sad. So this just helps me to have a little bit more control over what I'm doing. Okay, so instead of putting my stamp right here, I'm going to get it lined up where I want it over here. So I think that looks pretty centered. And that's a good spot to put it on top. So now I'm going to pick my stamp up with this. The ink colors that I'm going to be using are Pool Party, Pale Papaya, Granny Apple Green, and Flirty Flamingo. I'm going to start with Pool Party. I'm going to ink up my stamp, hopefully without getting ink everywhere. I'm going to use an alcohol-free baby wipe to clean this off a little bit. And this is pretty damp. So I'm going to also just dry it off a little with this very slightly damp chamois. Okay, now I'm going to lift my plate off and move it down one notch. I'm going to go ahead and close this ink up because if I don't, I'm going to have ink everywhere. I'm going to open the Pale Papaya. Stamp this one. And look, I did get ink everywhere that time. These wipes are very handy. Okay. I didn't get it dry enough that first time. I'm going to go ahead and re-ink it and just quickly stamp it again. There we go. Now we have a nice solid stamp. Clean it again with the baby wipe. Dry all that up with the chamois. I've tried to use a paper towel for this or a dry rag, but somehow I always end up with little bits of lint. close this ink pad and open Granny Apple Green. I'm going to move my plate down another notch. Ink up my stamp. I'm going to clean my stamp again. Dry it a bit again. Then the final color is Flirty Flamingo. So after I move my plate down one more notch, I'm going to ink it up with the Flirty Flamingo. Go ahead and wipe off that ink I got there. Looking good. I'll wipe this off a final time. I'm going to just set this to the side. Close my Flirty Flamingo ink before I have pink all over the place. Okay, so now it's just a matter of attaching the layers. Now, I love that Stampin' Up's Designer Series paper is always double-sided. Isn't this a pretty floral? This is a fun piece to color with blends. I like to use the multi-purpose liquid glue because it gives me just a little bit to scoot that around and get it pretty straight. Otherwise, everything I do is hopelessly crooked. I'm going to add a little to the back of this. There we go. That looks pretty good. And then this one, usually I use Stampin' Dimensionals somewhere on pretty much every card I make, but for this one I decided it doesn't really need them. So I'm just going to use more liquid glue. Center this right here. For the inside, I have another sheet. This is just basic white. It's 4 inches by 5 1/4 inches. So I'm going to use this, and I have this piece here that's 5 1/4 inches. Whoa, I moved my camera. Sorry about that. It is 5 1/4 inches by 3/8 of an inch. I always feel like 1/2 inch is just a little too wide, but 1/4 inch is just not quite big enough. Again, I'm using my liquid glue. I'm going to put this right here. Line it up to the edge as good as possible, all the edges. Looks like I cut that just a hair short, but it'll be okay. Okay, and then liquid glue on the back. There we go. Okay. Now you have a nice surface to write on inside your card. The front is almost done. So on this first card, I used blends to color some rhinestone jewels. Oh, I lost one somewhere. And on the second card, I used matte black dots. So on this third card, I decided I want to use opal rounds. And anytime I'm using any kind of little embellishment like this, I like to use my Take Your Pick tool, which looks like this. It's pointy on one end. There, it's better focused. You can turn and pull this out and you have a flat end. And then the other end, this is what I'm going to use today. You can turn and it has like gummy putty stuff that comes up out of it. And it's just good for giving this a little nudge and pulling it off the paper and placing it onto your next one. These opal rounds are so pretty. You see the sparkle. Let's see. No, it's not wanting to focus very well, but they're sparkly like opals. Okay, and there it is. That didn't take any time at all. Now we have a gorgeous card. And look at how different all of these cards look. They're the same layout, just a little bit of difference because of the colors used and the embellishments. This is my first YouTube video, so thank you so much for watching. I plan on posting a new video every week, so I hope to see you back soon. If you'd like to order anything that you saw today, there are links in the bottom. And of course, I'd love it if you visit my blog or my Facebook page. I'm on Pinterest and Instagram too. I hope that you're having a great day. Happy stamping. Bye-bye.